Renton in Bath. What's your story?
Oh, hi there. It's Renton here from Bath, yeah?
Yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, my son suffered terribly with agoraphobia for probably for about a year and a half.
Do you know what started it?
Panic attacks started it, basically, in depression.
And do you know what started that?
I really don't know. Got no idea whatsoever, nor has he.
Right,
basically.
okay.
But he spent about a year and a half, not only in the house, but in the corner of his bedroom. He got no further than his bedroom.
How old was he, Renton?
22, 23.
Tell me, Renton, you had to observe this. What did you do?
Well, it was a complete nightmare, to be honest with you. It affected both my wife's work and my work. We had to spend a lot of time, because he had probably 8 panic attacks a day. And we had to sort of basically keep coming home from work and seeing what was happening. And he was just hiding in the corner of his bedroom all the time.
Right.
He couldn't come downstairs even to get a drink because he's too frightened to do it.
And was he able to talk about what frightened him?
No, but everything frightened him, basically.
Right, okay.
Just seeing me at home or seeing his mum, everything seemed to frighten him. So he couldn't get his face from basically under his pillow in the corner of his bedroom.
So,
he was that scared to move.
Now, how long did you live with that before you were able to get help?
Probably about a year and a half, nearly 2 years.
Right.
So we did get help in the end.
How did that help arrive at your doorstep?
Well, we went on the internet to see if we could find somebody that could help, because we kept going to the doctor and he said, oh, he's just depressed and, take these pills and these drugs. And these weren't helping, basically. So we went on the internet to see if there's any alternatives, and we came across Charles Linden's site. So we phoned him up, had a good long chat with him, and at the end of the day, it was not what he was taking that helped him to come out of it, but it was his thought processes.
So we're back to you are what you think again, like in the first hour. That's
exactly,
interesting.
Yeah.
So how did Charles Linden help your son?
Well, we were basically desperate, because it didn't seem that the NHS could help us very much, because we just kept going backwards and forwards to speak to various people, and none of them really could sort of give us a solution, and it just kept going on and on. So we ordered the Linden Method pack and had it sent down to us, and it was absolutely brilliant. In fact, I related to it quite a lot, really, because I always think you become what you think about most of the time, first of all, and I'm always been a very positive thinker, and I think you become what you eat, you become what you read, you become what you watch, and you become what you listen to. And it really helped us.
So now, may I ask how much the pack cost?
I think it was £110, something like that.
So when you saw how much this thing cost, did you have any reservation?
None whatsoever.
Why were you so certain it was going to work?
Well, I wasn't.
Oh, you weren't. You weren't, but you were just going, you were going to pay whatever you had to pay for because you had to get your son better.
Exactly. I mean, what you pay doesn't really come into it, because I was prepared to try anything to find a solution, and it did end up being the solution for us. He's come out of himself. He's now got a job as sales manager. He's confident. He's happy. He's got a nice girlfriend.
Did you ever get to the root of why it happened to him?
No.
Does it matter that you didn't?
No, it doesn't.
Because it's kind of like it's irrelevant.
It is kind of irrelevant, really, because what happened, happened. And all I can say is we don't know why it happened. It appears that he started having these when he was about 9 or 10 years old, because he was sent home from school because he was sort of having convulsions. I mean, he used to fall down flat on his face in a shop with terrible panic attacks, with his hands over his face.
I mean, I'm going to be, as you know, I'm going to be talking to Charles Linden in about, I don't know, 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Does this method, does any of it include drugs?
No.
It's just about rerouting your thinking process, is it?
Well, I mean, I knew nothing about panic attacks or depression, because I don't suffer with anything like that. but is a new learning process for both me and my wife to know how it all works. So we not only went through the Linden method with Elliot, but we also listened to it and read it all ourselves, because he couldn't even watch television or listen to the radio, so we had to kind of read it out to him, most of it.
Blimey.
So he was so sensitive to anything that stimulated his mind, because all he thought about was panic attacks. And if he thought about a panic attack, he'd have another panic attack.
Right.
So the Linden method really is teaching you how to change your processes of your thoughts.
Okay.
Well, if you have an evil thought, you keep thinking about it. The more you think about it, the more it happens.
Okay. Listen, brilliant. Thank you, Renton, for phoning in. I will, after when we come back from the news, I'm going to be talking to Charles Linden to find out exactly how the method works, which is how Renton's son got, after suffering so severely from agoraphobia, how he got back into the outside world. Vic, this is LBC 97.3. It's 2:30. It's 2:32 and 32 exactly. Now, you've heard callers. I understand how difficult it must be for you to telephone in if you do have some form of agoraphobia. But let me tell you that we can't see you, and your calls will help other people. The first person, Renton from Bath, phoned in about his son, and he was talking about from watching his son getting increasingly worse between the ages of 20 and 22, and then finding the Linden method on the internet. 0845 6060 973 if you've used it. Text me 84850 if you've used something else to deal with your agoraphobia, or email me so you don't have to speak to me at all, jenny@lbc.co.uk. Charles Linden, I am so grateful that you phoned us in. I don't know if you heard Renton's call. Did you hear it?
I did, yes. I just caught the end of it.
Absolutely fascinating. Please may I ask how you came across your method? Did you suffer from agoraphobia?
I suffered from extreme anxiety, panic attacks, agoraphobia, OCD, from a very early age, really. It developed through my childhood, into my teens and adulthood, yeah.
And did you have outside help?
I had every help that you could possibly get through the NHS and otherwise. In fact, I had to remortgage the house to pay for some of the psychotherapy and medications and the treatments I had over the years. It was a horrible journey, a really rocky road.
Now, when did you detect it in yourself? Were you as young as 7?
I was younger than that, I think. I mean, I can still remember now, in the first bedroom I had in our first home, just staring at the ceiling, wondering why my heart was racing and why I was having such strange dreams and thoughts. Mostly separation anxiety, I think, at that age. But, of course, anxiety disorders manifest themselves differently all through life, so...
Is OCD an anxiety disorder? Is that how you would describe it?
Well, first of all, I don't like this word disorder. It sort of suggests illness. And the thing is, anxiety conditions aren't illnesses. They're behavioural conditions. And it's very easy to lump these conditions into pigeonholes and say that they're all mental illness or some kind of anxiety disorder. But the truth is that an anxiety condition that manifests itself as inappropriate levels of anxiety can obviously manifest many physical and psychological symptoms. And some of these are the obsessive thoughts, the what-if thoughts that are fueled by the anxiety. And these thoughts are part of the flight or fight response and supposed to protect us in times of true threat. But the problem is, you see, in anxiety disorder, these thoughts come at inappropriate times. And they're called what-if thoughts. We call them what-if thoughts because they're the ones that do this risk analysis of the situation you're in. So if you're in a room with a tiger in it, you have to start asking yourself very quick questions subconsciously to protect yourself. I need to either fight it or flee from it.
Right.
But where the anxiety is inappropriate and where you're in a situation, say in your living room, where there clearly isn't any real threat present, but you still experience these high levels of anxiety and adrenaline, the body is still preparing itself for action to either flee from or fight the potential threat.
Right.
And these what-if thoughts are designed or have been developed in the human body to do these risk analyses of the situation you're in. So we have a lot of people. OCD is an extension of that, really. It's these what-if thoughts. And there's something called pure O as well, which is just the obsession without the compulsion, without the physical action. that is supposed to undermine how you're feeling.
So given if you had all this happening to you, this kind of anxiety condition, how did you study? Because you presumably went away and studied. Did you get out of the house, or did you have agoraphobia as well?
I had terrible agoraphobia. In fact, there was one stage I think I didn't leave the house for about in fact, I didn't leave the living room for about 3 months. I used to huddle myself against a radiator and sit there until my girlfriend came home and rescued me every day. It's incredibly debilitating. And in fact, every symptom, and you asked before about OCD, whether OCD is a disorder and if that's an anxiety disorder. Yes, it is, but it's more a symptom of anxiety, as is post-traumatic stress disorder, agoraphobia, and all of the other symptoms and sensations and thoughts that people with anxiety conditions experience. And they're incredibly overwhelming, and and they only hit the strongest people. Because the weakest people fall at the first hurdle, realise their limitations, and don't continue. The strongest people are those who have what I call creative intelligence, often called emotional intelligence. They're self-driven, very creative people, and these are the people generally that we see that have developed anxiety disorders, because they need this creativity to be able to somatize a condition like this.
But listen, you're talking to me articulately and completely fluently.